They needed it that way. Needed to have that win, not just because of the W, but the feel-good that they now have going into the All-Star break. Ricky Vitalico and Michael Barkan, welcome to Phillies Postgame Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance. Back down to Miami in a moment to check in with Ruben. Ricky Bo, 4-0 Phillies. They outscore Miami 16-1 in the series, and they now have a record of 49-43. And I'm going to say this, people are going to roll their eyes. That's the same record the 08 Phils had after 92 games, 49-43. And who knows, maybe they'll be in the last playoff spot by the time the day's out.
The one thing that you have to take into consideration, you listen to what Nola said. This has been a tough place for us to come and win games. They go in there and sweep that game. That changes the whole psyche of the team against this Marlins team. I made that comment years ago about the bottom feeders, and then all of a sudden the Phillies couldn't beat them, right? Isn't that what it comes down to? But, I mean, you look at this series, and the Phillies were just a much better baseball team. Pitching-wise, bullpen-wise, hitting-wise, everything. They outplayed the Marlins in 3 straight games. You think back, the Marlins' last run in this series was what? Friday night in the 2nd inning on a sacrifice fly.
Yeah, 25 scoreless innings pitched by the Phillies, thrown by the Phillies.
I could give it back to you, dude.
Marlins. I like it, dude. Let's go back down to Miami, check in with Ruben Amaro Jr., who called today's game with Tom McCarthy. Ruben, when you look at this Phillies team now going into the break with 3 straight wins after 4 straight losses, and now owning a 28-14 record since June 1st, a .666 winning percentage, where do they stand in your mind?
Well, the sky was falling before June, right? And,
sure was.
For them to bounce back and play the type of baseball that they're playing right now without Bryce Harper and without Gene Segura and without their entire rotation, I mean, that says something about some of their depth and the fact that they've turned things around pretty significantly. I mean, this was an extraordinary effort by the pitching staff in this series against the Marlins. They're not a great offensive team. There's no question about it. But it's a major league team that had been playing pretty good. They kind of slid themselves into the wild card race, but they slammed things shut for them, and I guess the pitching they just pitched very, very well. It was nice to see.
Ruben, you were on that 93 team. Tell us about how big it is to have different heroes every night, because it seems like somebody else is getting the job done here recently every night.
Yeah, today was Jairo Munoz. I mean, obviously the pitching, Aaron Nola was extraordinary and has been all year long, I think. But I think it's so important to have contributions from everybody. As you know, this is a really long season, and it cannot be the same guys every single day. Now, for a while, it was Rhys Hoskins and Kyle Schwarber who were doing the damage, mostly in June and early part of July. But you've had contributions from a lot of different guys. Now JT's starting to get involved a little bit, and that's huge. Hopefully Castellanos can start getting more involved. I mean, you had some of the kids get some big base hits for him. Derek Hall's got it swung the bat pretty well, and at times Stott's come up with some base hits. And I'll tell you what, Alec Bowman's been as consistent as he's been since his rookie year, so that's a great sign. You're right, Ricky. You got to get contribution from everybody. And it's a long season. Hopefully they can carry this forward in the second half.
One guy who surprised me in a good way, Jose Alvarado lately. He comes back after that stint in the minor leagues. All of a sudden he's a completely different pitcher.
Yeah, new human being. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, he went down there, and sometimes, and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, I mean, one of two things. When you send a guy down, it's a wake-up call, right? Hey, I got sent down. I was in the big leagues for a while, kind of established, and now all of a sudden I go down below, and you know what, I better kick myself in the butt and start pitching a little bit better. And he certainly has done that. And I think the other thing is maybe you relax a little bit. You can work on some things without every single pitch being like the end of the world. And I think maybe he did that a little bit when he was down there, but because he's come back and has been just lights out. That command of his fastball, and I think Rob Thomson talked about it yesterday, he doesn't have to be perfect with his stuff. Just be around the zone. And that stuff is just electric.
Ruben, if you're trying to figure out this team and where it's going, and you look at 11 wins, 8 losses without Bryce Harper, you look at Kyle Schwarber struggling and Nick Castellanos struggling big time. Real Muto was. Now it looks like he's heating up. Thank goodness. You're looking at a lot of guys in the back end of the lineup trying to have to and chipping in. What do you make of this team and what its upside could be this season?
Well, I think there's a lot of upside, especially when we get Segura and Harper back. The thing that I think that is pretty important that people don't talk about a lot is the feeling in the clubhouse. And you talked about it. We talked about it a little bit here with Aaron Nola. There are some more veteran guys there. There are some people who have been there and done it and had success. And that really does mean something. There's no question about that. And once you start getting that feeling in the clubhouse, then people start to relax. They start to pull for each other maybe a little bit more. They start to believe in each other a little bit more. And that is pretty infectious at times. And it seems like that's the sort of thing that's happening. The young kids are letting themselves be themselves. The veteran guys seem to be guiding them forward, and that's a really good feeling, and hopefully they can continue to do that through the second half.
Lastly, Ruben, the All-Star break comes at the end of a 3-game win streak. Many would say, man, I wish we could play a game tomorrow, a series tomorrow. That's not going to be the case. Do you think they can keep this kind of mojo going when the schedule resumes and the Cubs come in on Friday?
Well, they can't stop now, right? They got to keep going, and the Cubs are not a great ball club, but they got that Atlanta Braves coming, and it's, they're big league ball clubs, and you have to just, grind it out one day at a time, and hopefully the pitching will hold up enough. It's kind of a big blow that Eflin's going to get shut down here, and it'll be interesting to see how Dave Dombrowski reacts to that, whether or not there is somebody on the horizon in a possible trade to try to bolster that rotation. But listen, you just got to keep playing and hope that Segura's going to be back fairly soon. Hopefully Bryce Harper after that. And now you got yourself a pretty strong arsenal of baseball players trying to make a run at a playoff spot.
You sure do. All right, Ruben, thanks so much. We'll talk to you, week after next as the schedule resumes?
At least. I'll see you in about 3 months.
You take it easy. Come on. Sooner than that, I hope. All right, Ruben Amaro Jr. joining us from Miami. Here are the wild card standings up to the moment. And the Phillies, by virtue of their tiebreak advantage over St. Louis, are the final wild card team as they go into the break. St. Louis is rained out today, so they are in a dead heat, but the Phils get the nod on the tiebreak. How about the best records in baseball, Ricky Bo, since June 1st? And remember, Joe Girardi did manage the first game of June, and then he was dismissed. And after that, it's been Rob Thomson. The Phillies 28-14. This isn't all of baseball. You got the Braves and Yankees. They're World Series contenders. So are the Astros. Mariners are heating up, and there you're fighting.
Mariners have won 13 in a row.
How about
They're going
that?
for 14 today. They're up 3-1 in that ball game today. But yeah, this is all good news. The Phillies have found themselves. Rob Thomson has kind of guided them into where they should be, and they should have been there a long time ago. I think that's the thing. A lot of people, if you look back on this season and they didn't make the playoffs, you're going to look back at the first 2 months of the season. There's no doubt about it. They underachieved. Now all of a sudden they're playing good baseball. But they had to make up ground. They've made up that ground. They've gotten to a point now where everybody should be a little bit more comfortable with what's going on. But I think there's more in the tank for this ball club.
Yeah, but let's not kid ourselves. Certainly the competition in the first couple of months is different than the competition recently.
On.
Well, it's
you
true,
have
though.
to play teams.
I understand that. I'm just saying when you're going to stack them up.
Yeah,
but we care. Fans care. Certainly the team players don't care.
Didn't the Phillies get their butts kicked last time they went down and played in Miami?
Yes, they did.
End of question.
Haven't swept them since September of 2010.
I don't care if I walked up to you as the hitter and said a curveball's coming right now. I would say 95% of the ones he threw today you could not hit. What was his problem last year and at times earlier in the season? He would roll that curveball. I have not seen him roll a curveball in months, which is pretty impressive because it's a pitch that if you get a little bit under or a little bit on the side, they call it casting, you'll almost flip it up there and it'll just kind of spin. You won't get that downward plane. But right now, he's throwing a curveball that's more like a jetter. It's coming in and then straight down. That's the kind of curveball you want. But what the hitter sees is you'll see a lot of hand dropping, which means they give up on the pitch because they see it coming, they think it's a fastball, their hands will drop. and then all of a sudden it breaks. You can't get to it once your hands drop.
His 6-7 record, 3.13 ERA belies the type of season he is having.
I think his
What kind of season do you think he's having?
I think his ERA numbers should be better. I mean, I know of about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 runs that he probably shouldn't have given up this year because of number 1, defense, number 2, game situation, whatever's going on in the ball game. And then you look at what you saw today. This may have been, I know he had one other complete game, 9-inning complete game, but this may have been one of his best outings that we've seen in his career.
It was special.
And I'm being completely honest with this, just because of the dominance of it. I mean, he gave up a couple hits in the last inning. Both of them were close to being.
Close.
Yeah, I mean, as a pitcher, especially of his type of caliber, the one thing you want to do is get the ball on the ground. If the ball's on the ground, you're giving your teammates a chance to make it out. That's what he should be thinking out there on the mound. And if you give up a hit on a ball on the ground, you say, hey, okay, you beat me. You hit it through the right spot.
To the visiting manager's office in Miami, here's Rob Thomson on this win.
You guys, with this sweep here, you're back in control of that third wild card spot. And, I mean, you quite literally control your own destiny. I mean, how big is that in your mind as you come back from 4 days off?
Well, we still got 70 games to go, so it's a long way. We just got to take one at a time and one series at a time, and just keep fighting.
How encouraging was it to see Bum?
That was great.
Again, hand stuff.
I can't believe he's playing after what I saw in St. Louis. I really can't. Trainers, doctors, Bowman did a great job getting him back.
What about getting some really key hits from the bottom part of the order?
Yeah, Bierling, double, Bomer double, Munoz with a home run. It was huge, and that's kind of how we've done. I mean, I know that Schwarber was hot and he was in the middle of a lot of our stuff when we were scoring runs, but it seems like a lot of times it's a different guy every day. Sometimes it's bottom of the order, sometimes it's top of the order, and that's what good teams do. They get contributions from a lot of different people.